Hey friends, it's Lauren Taylor. Thank you for joining me in my craft room today. I'm so grateful to have you here. I was gifted some of the new Simon Hurley Create, well, I guess all of the new that was released yesterday at the time of posting this video. I have the Winter Scene Maker Stencil set and all four of the brand new Lunar Paste. And if you know me and my channel, I love Lunar Paste. This cookie dough is so beautiful. There's also Grrr, which is so funny to say out loud, Shady, and Weeping Willow. So while I'm jumping into my card and stenciling, I'm only going to use one Lunar Paste for this card today, but I will swatch out all four while we're waiting for the background to dry. So I'm starting with my stenciling. I have the Grit Mat from Waffle Flower on my glass board, and I totally forgot that Simon's stencils have like a coating on one side. So if you see some weird spots on my stencils, it's because I forgot to flip them over and test, which side had the coating when I stick it to my grip mat, and my grip mat's like peeled off some of that coating, but it's no big deal. The stencil's fine, the grip mat's fine. So I'm starting with ink blending my trees, and I'm using Overzealous Simon Hurley ink, and I stenciled my trees so I could block out my sky. So there's a mask where my sky will be. And then I also masked where my houses are going to be. And I love these stencils because it not only masks the houses, but it will mask around the houses, just like our trees. You can mask the trees or mask around the trees. So it makes single layer cards such a breeze because you can ink blend or however you like to use your stencils, and create, just one layer of color and one layer within your card. So I shifted my house stencil up so that way I could color in my houses, and for that I used Bee Sting, also from Simon Hurley and Ranger. I'm bringing my house mask back down, and the house masks have little windows on them. So I'm going to grab a smaller blending brush. My brushes are from scrapbook.com, and I'm picking up Midnight Snack ink, and I'm going to color in my windows and my doors with this darker ink color. After I'm done adding that into my houses, I'm going to just wipe off the color very carefully so I don't get it in my green trees, but just to make sure I don't spread that ink when I put on the tree mask so I can blend my sky. So I want to make sure I don't get any of this Midnight Snack where my houses are or where my trees are. So I'm just masking both those areas. And I'm going to put on quite a bit of ink here and then have it kind of lightly blend up to the top of the sky. So I always start lower with my ink, or I always started lower with my ink and then went upward. So my ink on my brush was a little bit less, and it creates a bit more of a softer look at the top of my little background here. This is a piece of white cardstock that I die cut with one of my scrapbook.com nested A2 dies. I believe this would be the 5th largest size if I'm doing the math correctly in my head. Then I'm going to take the stencil with all of the falling snow, and I went ahead and put that where it's going to fit perfectly on my background. I masked off anywhere where I didn't want it to go. And I'm just using a palette knife and my Simon Hurley scraper to add cookie dough, Lunar Paste, to all of the openings that, look like falling snow through the stencil. Now I did get a little bit of Lunar Paste where I didn't want it. I was kind of bummed, but you know what? It happens and it's okay. So you're going to see me go, oh no, there's Lunar Paste here where I don't want it. But that's okay. I'm going to just use my palette knife after I clean it and have like a slight it's not a panic attack. That seems, extreme, but kind of like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I cleaned my palette knife and I'm just picking up that paste with my palette knife and wiping it off. So there is going to be a little bit of a sheen where my Lunar Paste got where I didn't want it to go, but it's not as noticeable like my snowflakes are coming down on my card. So you can see here when I raise it up in the light, there's a slight little sheen of where that Lunar Paste was, but you know what? It's not noticeable and it's totally fine. So while I am waiting for my background to dry, my stencils are soaking in my soapy water, I thought we could swatch out all of the colors together. So I'm starting with cookie dough, and I have some black cardstock and white cardstock, and I'm just gonna make my own little swatches here of what the colors look like on the two different types of cardstock. As you can see, I love this cookie dough. It totally looks like a sugar cookie. It's so pretty. But I really love this Grrr color because it's like a brown bronze, if that makes sense, because we already have the bronze from the last release, but it's kind of like more brown. I am the worst at adjectives and describing things. Next, I'm bringing out Weeping Willow, which is a beautiful chocolate brown. I think this is going to be so pretty for like chocolate covered strawberries. So excited to use this, I think, with my Pretty Pink Posh layering stencil. It's beautiful. I love it. And then last, I have Shady, which again is like a silver, but it's more like a pewter silver, if that makes sense, because it does kind of have like, again, warmer tones. All four of these are very warm tone lunar paste. So these are what they look like. Here you can see on the black cardstock, it's still drying, but you can see how pretty that color is. And then on the white cardstock, really pops up. Lunar Paste just have the best sheen, and so do the Solar Paste, but they're my favorite and I love them. And I'm so grateful that Simon asked me to use them because you'll see them all the time in my projects. So now my background is getting there. It's not like super duper dry yet, but I want to start getting my card ready. I grabbed a pattern paper that I liked from the scrapbook.com Noel A2 paper pad, and I also grabbed a sheet of this kind of cookie dough looking solid cardstock from the Vacation A2 paper pad. And I'm going to use my third largest A2 die, which will create a cookie dough looking frame around my stenciled background, which will then have a frame of that green pattern paper. So here you can see them all nested together. I have a card base, so let's just start gluing our layers together. I'm going to grab my big old tape runner and I'm going to adhere my green leaf pattern paper to my card base. I like to line up to the folded edge of my card, I guess you could say, to make sure if my card base wasn't cut perfectly, I can just trim off on the sides or the bottom if necessary. Then for my light tan solid colored cardstock layer, I added some foam adhesive to the back of that and adhered that to the center of my card base. I'm going to use my liquid glue to glue on my stenciled background because I don't know if it's fully dry yet and I don't want to risk ruining my pretty background. So just using liquid adhesive to add glue to this layer and centering it as well. And then finally, I'm going to bring in my Mary and I'm going to add some foam adhesive behind that as well. I really wish scrapbook.com's thinner foam was out because this would be perfect just to add a little bit of pop without much more thickness, but we're going to make do with what we have. And I adhered my Merry sentiment, and it was already die cut from my Merry Christmas sentiments too. It was like a little extra that I just saved for a future card, and today was that day. So the shadow is cut out of some red cardstock and the Merry is cut from some gold holographic cardstock. But here is a close-up of my beautiful Christmas card using brand new products from Simon Hurley and Ranger Ink. Thank you again to Simon and Ranger for sending me these products, and I hope you're inspired to create today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll click like, and if you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe and come back. As always, you can find everything I use down below in the description box. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye!